T&XP acknowledges the traditional owners of the land, the Turrbal and Yagara people, and we pay our respects to elders past and present.
Welcome to Season 3 of T&XP, a couple's cozy gaming podcast.
We're feeling cozy and we hope you are too.
My name's Alexander.
And I'm Erin.
T&XP is like a book club for cozy video games. And today we're going to be looking at Waxheads, a cozy punk celebration of music, subculture and community.
Yeah, but if you're new to T&XP or if you haven't listened in a while, let's give you a tiny crash course in T&XP. We treat our episode like a book club, and so we choose cozy games where we can discuss narrative, characters, music, art, accessibility, some other games with similarities, and themes or ideas in the game.
We then give each game a cozy rating and a game rating. We think the cozy rating is perhaps more important than the game rating because, 1, we don't review any games we don't like anyway, and 2, the cozy rating helps listeners consider whether the game is going to be for them. There is a broad definition of cozy gaming, but we refer right back to episode 1, when we say
that we think cozy video game content can evoke feelings of being snug, comfortable or secure. It might feel safe, pleasant or wholesome. Cozy gaming can be narrative-rich, with character growth and beautiful settings. But, just to be challenging, we also think cozy gaming can contain some challenging and moving storylines and themes, such as grief, change or even death. What cozy games have in common is that the player has a safe space to explore these themes. We should also chat briefly about what we've been doing since Season 2.
Yes, provided there's no mention of work or end of financial year. We will stick to cozy topics.
Yes, yeah. We'll leave the traumatic stuff for another time. So we've partnered with Australian devs Lost Loaf Studios to review the Lost Loaf Chapters 1 and 2 games. Chapter 3 just came out on itch as well. They're all free to play and super cute. Luigi, the solo dev of The Little Crumb, let us have a sneak peek at his restaurant management sim demo, and it was so satisfying making perfect croissants and treats.
And we were recently interviewed by Ellie from Cozy Gaming Over 40. We had a lot of fun, and she asked some really thoughtful questions. Go check out her great Substack.
Yeah, Ellie is amazing. She writes really well-written and intelligent articles about gaming, and we are big fans.
And you will have an interview that will be out by the time this gets published as well.
Oh, yeah. So I'm speaking to Confessions of a Gamer Girl podcast this week, or last week, or whenever this drops. And I'm really pumped to get to talk to such a cool group of people. Shall we get onto Waxheads?
Yeah. So this game really surprised me. Now that we've finished it, I can admit that I was a little dubious when you suggested this one. Partly because I didn't think it would be cozy in the first place, but also because I just thought, frankly, that I would not be cool enough to get any of the music references. I don't know the difference between punk and experimental metal. I thought I'd spend the whole game feeling like some kind of corporate imposter who'd infiltrated the indie music store. Hello, fellow music enthusiasts. I too like the rhythm and the blues.
Amazing.
I'm really glad that we went with your recommendation, though, because this was actually a great game to kick off a new season.
Well, then take it away.
I will.
I'm glad. We're back to this.
Waxheads is a 2026 game developed by Patattie Studios and published by Curve Games, who is probably best known for Wobbly Life. Shout out to James if you're listening. I know you said for a long time we need to have Wobbly Life on this podcast.
And now we've mentioned it. Your nephew will be very satisfied.
Waxheads is Patattie Studios' first game, and I think a lot of that comes through with the passion and attention to detail that went into this. Patattie Studios is essentially a 2-person team, and even that's twice the size it was originally intended to be. One of the devs, Murray Summerwolf, had the initial idea for the game, and originally intended to program it all himself. He quickly realized it was, in his own words, an incredibly naive idea, so the second half, Rothio Tome, was brought in to help, and they ended up teaming up to found Patattie. It wasn't just the two of them. There were other collaborators for art, puzzle design, music and more, but it's still a really small team. This is still a really, really polished game though. It has a huge breadth of art and music and writing, and it just goes to show how these little indie cozy games can punch way above their weight.
Yeah. Waxheads was released on May 5th, 2026, which is a bit unfortunate because it was maybe overshadowed by the release of Mixtape 2 days later. These games have really different things to offer, but they should definitely be judged on their own merits. I'm not sure the cozy gaming genre had enough space for 2 comic book-inspired love letters to music and nostalgia. Waxheads still received lots of fantastic critic reviews, and it's maintained a very positive 96% rating on Steam. There's also a free demo on Steam, which I really encourage people to try. Tell me about the story.
So in Waxheads, you play as the new recruit, aka the new kid, at Repeater Records, a small independent vinyl shop situated in a bustling, presumably London-based suburb. The store is run by former 1980s rock star Morgan McIntyre. Her band, Becoming Violet, was a big deal back in the day, but the band split up after Morgan's sister and fellow bandmate decided to launch a solo career. Even now, decades later, nobody outside the band really knows what went down. Needless to say, Morgan's emotional baggage comes back to haunt her, as Repeater Records comes under siege from predatory corporate practices and modern threats like digital distribution and AI production of music.
Boo.
Morgan's response is seemingly apathetic and avoidant, so it's up to the plucky staff to save the record store.
So it's Empire Records, the game.
Yeah, look, that is an elder millennial / Gen X film reference, and I hope at least some of our listeners get it.
Damn the man, save the Empire.
Look, I'd argue that Waxheads is a little different because it has a better storyline than Empire Records.
Okay, shots fired, yeah.
To any Empire Records fans out there, I do apologize. That was a cheap shot. Also, you're getting old, so stretch daily and practice getting up off the floor without using your hands.
Yep, important health indicator. Waxheads also has some fantastic subplots about the staff, customers, and even the highs and lows of the fictitious bands whose records you sell. I thought the game did a great job in how it presented these smaller story arcs, and it all felt really organic. Your co-workers will vent and overshare in the staff room, repeat customers will slowly grow more familiar with each visit, and a steady supply of zines, social media alerts, and your music news app will keep you updated to recent scandals in the music industry. If this sounds like a lot, don't worry. The characters and bands all have big, distinctive personalities, and the game's writing knows how to keep you emotionally invested without smothering you in detail. So, how do you play the game?
As the player and the latest employee, you'll be charged with running the store and making sales. This mainly boils down to matching customers with the right or near enough record. Each customer will come in with a vague idea of what they want, and they'll give you a few clues about either a specific record or their general taste in music. It's then up to you to go find the correct record. While the customer patiently waits for you, you can flick through the store going from room to room, which is roughly divided up by record genre. You'll then want to inspect individual records, as there'll often be hints in the album description, the cover art, and sometimes even on the vinyl record itself when you take it out of the sleeve. When you think you've found the perfect match, you take it back to the register and see what the customer thinks. You'll usually need to commit to the sale before finding out whether or not you got it right, but there is a game setting to allow takebacks if you want a lower stakes gaming experience.
Look, it is a little weird that you pick the record, run it through the register, and bag it up before the customer gives you any feedback. So you will need to suspend disbelief just a little bit for that.
Yeah. Each of the customer prompts is presented like a puzzle, and there are all sorts of contextual clues you'll want to look out for. So, how does a customer dress? Are they buying it as a present? If the record doesn't seem to exist, could they be getting the names mixed up a little bit? If you think about Waxheads as a story-heavy puzzle game, you're gonna love it. Waxheads is not really a shop management game, though. There is a fixed storyline to play through, and there's no real in-game control over the store's operation or financial elements. That's all above your pay grade.
I guess so. I think it's both, but yeah. But while serving customers makes up a bulk of the gameplay, Waxheads also has a lot of downtime portions before and after each workday, and this is where most of the story takes place. You'll start each day in the staff room, where you'll catch up on all the gossip and progress to the main storyline, and you can also log into your laptop to unlock decorations, songs, snacks, and Tamagotchi-style toys to customize the store. My favorite is Ned. Ned the Tamagotchi. I highly recommend looking into him. You'll also be given mini-games from time to time, such as designing a poster or rearranging objects. During the day, you can and should procrastinate long enough to read zines or get on your phone to catch up on social media and online reviews. In the evening, you'll either head over to the local pub, the Apple Bed, or watch TV interviews. On top of all of this, there are also a few hidden secrets via the cash registers emojis, but we won't spoil that.
I mentioned this before, but I'm going to repeat it. You do not need to be a cool person or a die-hard music nerd to enjoy the gameplay. The bands are fictitious, and there's no presumed knowledge. I have no music trivia knowledge whatsoever, and I really thought that I wouldn't get into the story or the gameplay or the themes, but the devs have done such a good job of making the game accessible and welcoming. Waxheads isn't this niche, clicky gatekeeper for music snobs. It's just a clever, cozy puzzle game. I think if you have a sense of curiosity and empathy, you'll love the puzzle elements even if you have no music credentials.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk characters. So, there's not much to say about the player character. You never appear on screen, and most of the dialogue gently shoehorns you into the role of an eager people pleaser. You're there as both a facilitator and a spectator for the story, so you usually act as a sounding board rather than a main character.
The main characters themselves are the former bandmates of Becoming Violet. Morgan McIntyre is the manager of Repeater Records, and while she's generally a good boss and decent person, she stubbornly insists on moving on with her life, following the breakup of her once famous band. The breakup itself is a bit of a mystery. As a player, all you know is that her sister, Willow, left the band to start her own wildly successful solo career, and that she ended up marrying the former guitarist, James, who started his own publishing company. The three of them show up as the main power brokers, struggling to control the future of Repeater Records.
And there are also your co-workers. From resident riot girl Abby to gentle middle-aged giant Hank, they all have big, colourful personalities. Personally, I love Paul. Naturally, they all want to save the store, but they also have their own lives to get on with. Over the course of the game, you'll get to see how their various passion projects and side hustles pan out, or not, so it's not all about the store itself. Some of the customers themselves also have some surprisingly deep story arcs of their own. For example, there's Winston, who has just lost his partner, so some of the recommendations you give him remind him of happier times when his partner was still alive, which is just really quietly touching but optimistic. There are a few of these though. The game does a really good job of balancing these out with some lighter stuff, including a few characters that are only really there for comic relief.
They're not really characters, but this is also probably a good time to talk about the bands themselves. There are a few recurring bands who will release multiple albums over the course of the game, and they will also feature in various news segments and social media discussions. These bands are presented with such nuance and complexity to them that I honestly wondered whether they were based on real-world examples after all. I think it's really to the game's credit that none of the bands or genres are over-the-top or condescending tropes. I think it would have been really easy to depict, say, the pop star Mimi as being superficial and dumb, or the classic rock band Brickdog as these cliched wash-ups. But the game treats every genre with a lot of respect, and bands all feel really real and grounded. I ended up getting weirdly invested in Brickdog in particular, as we followed their ups and downs. I had to keep reminding myself that it was made-up news about a made-up band, and I shouldn't be getting distressed when they broke up.
Yeah, but Brickdog Forever, they're really cool.
We should also talk about the artwork because it is just fantastic. There are two types of art worth talking about in this game. How would you describe the art generally?
Well, the colour's really saturated and a little bit comic book style, and the animation is focused on each character having half a dozen faces or gestures that they move through to reflect what's happening, and if that character is happy or sad.
Walking and other movement animations is like a cutout of the character sliding or bobbing across the screen, which is very cute but still pretty effective.
It is, it's very charming.
The game developers have said that a big inspiration was Brian Lee O'Malley, aka the artist for Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and I think a lot of this comes through with the bold, chunky art style. The other part of the artwork that must be mentioned is the album covers.
Absolutely, it is critical to the game.
The attention to record covers and the backs and the inserts and everything just has so much amazing attention to detail. Every album and every little detail has been so thoughtfully considered and ties into a customer request at some point.
Yeah, some take a long time to pay off. There are records that I thought had become just, part of the furniture and then became part of a great customer request right at the end. It was really cool.
The album art is such an amazing little microcosm of different styles and genres, and again, just this great love letter to music culture generally. I would unironically have some Brick Dog cover art on like a shirt or a bag or something. That said though, the artwork is amazing, but I think the real star of Waxheads has got to be the music.
Yeah, and so when we talk about music, we have to distinguish the bands being discussed versus the actual soundtrack. But this game is so rich in detail that many of the bands have full tracks that you can listen to. Most of them do. There's over 30 tracks in this game, and almost all of them are composed by Gina Lachlan. Her flexibility in creating songs in so many genres is so impressive.
This is one of the very, very few times I would actually want to buy the game's album or soundtrack.
And you can. It is actually available on Bandcamp as well. And she has also composed music for games like Tower Tale, which is very cute music, Mail Time.
Also another cozy game?
Yes, very lovely. Pug Golf, Lagoon, and several other games. And what I'm trying to say is that the music is as carefully created and curated as the rest of the game. It's just highly considerate of what it's trying to do, and genuinely good tracks complement and enhance the gameplay. It's really solid.
You can also buy the soundtrack on Steam.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
There's some really thoughtful accessibility features in the game. You don't have to play the arcade minigame, which is the only section with any real fine timing skills. You can remap the controls, and there are also 2 alternative fonts, including Dyslexic 2.0 and an autoplay function with several different speed settings, so you don't have to manually click through dialog screens. I think these are great inclusions for a game that's so reading heavy.
Yeah, and it is really good to see more games adding in other fonts for players, including dyslexia-friendly font.
Yeah, there's also some good sound features you can toggle. For example, you can lower the ambient background music and other individual tracks, which, is good if you find the brightly coloured music game a bit overstimulating. One feature I really liked, which is good if you have a lot of decision-making anxiety, is you can switch between no refunds mode and customer is always right mode. This just means that there's a game mode where you can stick to your choice and live with the results, or a game mode where you can reselect the record if the customer doesn't like it and try again.
Yeah, it's really helpful. I liked playing it on no refunds mode myself. It just made you commit. Yeah. So, let's talk about some of the ideas.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of them in here, and we're probably just going to touch on a few of the main ones, I reckon. But one idea that runs through the game is human connection. You have conversations, they build meaningful relationships, you have to listen, look carefully, and be empathetic to the problems or challenges that the customer poses. If you make assumptions or rush a customer, you're far more likely to select the wrong record for them.
Yeah, and these customers, or at least some of them, become really important. There are some returning customers you have friendships with, and even though there's not a lot of branching dialogue options in the game, taking the time to hear what they have to say means that you get some really cool and unique stories.
Yeah, and you are connecting with and supporting people through music. And as people return to the store, but also become concerned about its future, you get that human connection really leading to community. So the store it's a social hub, it's a community hub. People are really worried when it nearly closes down. Everyone is there because they have great memories tied to music, and some customers find the store is important to their social connections. There are relationships and friendships that are made and broken in that store. There's nothing like a common passion, I think, to connect people and bring some really diverse personalities together.
Yeah, and I think just, segueing off common passion, I'd say that common cause, kind of bringing people together is another thing too.
Yeah.
So there's like the scrappy nature of the store always being at the precipice of closing down because evil big music really makes that underdog story, like a central theme of the game.
Yeah.
You're helping to save a struggling business, you're resisting corporate homogenization, you're part of like a community banding together, no pun intended, banding together to overcome adversity.
Banding. Look, I think the underdog storyline is what elevates this game beyond a basic shop management or puzzle game. Shop management that just has like an opening hours loop of gameplay and a morning or evening loop of gameplay can be immensely satisfying, and I think this would still be a really good game without it. But adding in a hopeful underdog, i.e. the staff of Repeater Records hoping to execute a near impossible plan, elevates it to something much more meaningful.
Yeah, so I think like these themes of community and, an underdog battle, like there's something you see a lot in the cozy genre.
That's so true, yeah.
Like, funnily enough, they tend not to be pro-corporate and they tend to be like community-focused, yeah.
All those indie devs are like, no, EA Games, sponsor me.
Look, if any of our listeners played Stardew Valley and went with the JoJo Mart option, stop listening. You're not welcome here.
You get an award for doing a JoJo playthrough, so you've got to give people one chance to do that. Yeah. Okay, what else?
I would say nostalgia and kind of preservation of media is like a big theme in the game. Customers share this music connected to memories and you celebrate physical media.
Such an important topic in this day and age.
Yeah, it is. And, it just looks at how the past enriches the present, especially towards the end. It's talking about like the importance of having this preservation and these physical records and just this tactile thing which links you back to your past.
Absolutely, yeah. And look, we can't talk about a record shop game without talking about music as our identity or part of our identity as a critical theme in it. Your job is beyond being a retail monkey. You are not serving frozen yogurt or selling Labubu. Our taste in music reflects personal identity. It's part of our self-expression. And of course, records preserve that self-expression and personal memories attached to it. Many of us have a favorite concert.
Yeah, okay. I remember seeing Eskimo Joe at the zoo in Fortitude Valley.
Ooh.
It was right before the band blew up.
Ooh.
And also just before the venue itself sold out and went mainstream. It was probably also the coolest I've ever been or ever will be.
I know you're pretty cool. Stop.
You have to say that. You're my spouse.
I know, but you keep saying through the game, like, I'm such a dork and I'm such a... And you're like, you're not. You're a cool dude, Alex. I don't hang out with losers.
Again, JoJo Mart enthusiasts, you're not welcome.
But yeah, this game will combine all of these ideas of nostalgia and identity, and it will have you thinking about your own core music memories. My favorite gig, though, is actually also at the zoo. I saw McLusky there, and they were so good, even though I did nearly get into my first, but let's be clear, only bar fight at that gig. It didn't happen. It was close. I had a friend who stopped it. You're amazing.
Only bar fight so far. You need to have a growth mindset, think about the future.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And just for any international or interstate listeners out there, when we refer to the zoo, it was not an actual zoo. It was a pub.
Yes, it's a live music venue called the zoo. Yeah, that's true. The closest zoo in Brisbane is Australia Zoo, so that would have been weird going to a gig where like Steve Irwin was hanging out at the time.
Yeah, I don't think Eskimo Joe ever performed there, which is their loss. But
growth mindset, Alex. Okay, let's talk about some other games that this game has some overlapping elements with.
Yeah, look, I'm going to go first and steal the obvious point of comparison, which is going to be Tiny Bookshop. So that's got quite a few shared game mechanics, such as customizing and decorating a store, and matching customers with the perfect sale. It is also super, super cozy, with a lot of themes about community and connection. Tiny Bookshop has a much bigger focus on shop management, and you'll actually need to think about things like revenue and money and stock, but I'd still recommend it if you liked Waxheads. The Coffee Talk series could also be a really good follow-up if you're looking for something similar. These are cozy visual novel style games, with some charming characters and a focus on relaxed conversation. If you can match your customers' requests with a drinkable cup of coffee, that's a bonus. But the story and conversation are the real draw cards in these games.
Yeah, okay. See, for myself, I was going to recommend Lemon Cake, which is a shop sim with almost no story, but just really good vibes. So, like, if you want a cozier version, I'd say like Lemon Cake, it's, very low stakes. It's very bright and cozy. It's got this really warm color palette. There's not much of a story to it. If you want an even cozier version of this game, I'd go with Lemon Cake. And the other one I'd recommend is one that we've reviewed before as well, and that's Wonder Stop. We reviewed one last season. No. Not last season.
No, season one. Yeah, we're in season 3 now.
We're a 3-season podcast. Yeah. Anyway, it's a shop sim, but it also has those bigger, deeper story that wraps around it as well. And it has some sort of deeper, darker, gnarlier themes in there as well. So again, really tight game, some really beautiful features in there, beautiful music, beautiful artwork. I think that I really liked your point about, if you like Tiny Bookshop, you'll like Waxheads and vice versa, I think. But I also think that Wonder Stop is another really good one if you like the story with depth. Yeah. So, cozy rating. Off you trot. You go first.
Okay, so just as a quick refresher, we only do cozy games. So if something's a 1 out of 5 on the cozy scale, that's still a cozy game.
Yeah.
I would actually give Waxheads like a 3 out of 5.
Okay. What do you reckon?
So I think it's got some very relaxed gameplay, like you can read the albums at your leisure, you can really indulge in looking at the social media and the side games and everything else. I think it's got some really nice messages and some really nice story arcs. I don't think it leans that heavily on like explicitly cozy themes. Okay. And so it's really much more the kind of punk theme and aesthetics and stuff. And it's got to focus on the indie music thing rather than, sitting down with a cup of tea or stuff like that.
Okay.
So if you look at some really cozy titles, like I'm always going to pick Stardew Valley as the epitome of cozy games.
Because you're wrong, but okay.
I think it maybe just wasn't something the game was prioritizing, but I still think it's a really cozy game.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What would you give it out of 5?
3 out of 5.
Okay, so you've got me thinking, because look, I was initially going to give it a 4, but I also think you make some really good points because, yeah, like you said, it's a bit more slice of life rather than like squish and cozy, kind of aesthetics and themes and stuff like that as well. So
yeah. I think it is cozy. I think it's just not the main message the game was trying to get out there.
Yeah. Yeah, look, okay, I'm going to agree with a 3 as well. I think that's a really good one to take as well. So, yeah, it has a very cozy gameplay loop as well, though. I think that's nice, but I see your point about the other factors.
What about game rating itself? I went first on cozy rating, so you should go first on game rating.
Okay. This game, well, it has really generous and encouraging design to it and mood to it. There's no snobbery, like we said before. It really makes it accessible to a lot of people. You don't have to be a person who's already into music. And it's clearly a labor of love for a tiny dev team and the contributors. I really liked how each of the considerations, like the tightness of the gameplay and the amazingness of the artwork and the detail, like there's so many pieces about the artwork that are relevant clues to the gameplay that we have not even mentioned in this review because we don't want to spoil anything for people who are going to play it. And the quality of the music and things like that. This is a fantastic game. I think it's so good. Really satisfying to play. Began, middle, and end in all the right spots. Like, I think it's a 5 out of 5 game.
Yeah, it just had such incredible attention to detail, like the music, the art, even just the puzzles and the clues and the storylines. It is so polished, and it just blows my mind that you have, like, tiny 2-person studios making games like this.
Yeah.
I think if you're not going to give something a 5 out of 5, you need to kind of say what you would add or what you would take away or what you do differently.
True.
And this game knows what it wants to be, and I think it achieves it, and it is just an absolute joy to play. Mm-hmm. I agree. I think this is a 5 out of 5.
Nice. What would you give it on the tier scale, S, A, B, C, D, etc.?
I would give it an A. What about you?
Okay, I'm gonna disagree with you again. Look, okay, I think for all the reasons I just mentioned before, and the fact that I think it really comes together as more than the sum of its parts. Like, I think this is one of the best games I've played this year.
Okay.
I think, I know it's coming off a bit strong, straight first episode of the season, but I would consider this an S tier game. I think I'm going to look back on 2026 and say this is one of the best games that I've played this year. I think it's really, really good. I think that it's replayable, although I'd give a little bit of time between it as well so I can forget a few of the puzzles and clues and stuff like that as well. I think every piece of it is so tight and well done, and it was such a pleasure to play. I just delighted in all the little discoveries that we got to make in it. So, yeah, I'm sorry to disagree again, but yeah, I don't know. I just think this was a memorable game for me. I think this deserves a spot in my S tier list.
Okay, I thought this game was going to scare me off or just not be for me, but this was such a good cozy title. And looking back on it, it makes me want to play other games like this. Like other shop management games and other visual novel games, and even just have more interest in music.
Yeah.
I think just based on that impact it has on, kind of one's development as a gamer. I will yield and I shall agree that it's an S tier.
Ooh, superior, superb, spectacular.
Just assumed it was S for super, but it could be any of those. I
don't know. But yeah, so 3 out of 5 on the cozy scale,
Yeah.
5 out of 5 / S tier for Waxheads.
Agreed.
Episode 1/21 of the podcast. Love it.
That's all we have for today. Thank you for listening to T and XP, a couple's cozy gaming podcast. We'd like to encourage you to follow our Instagram account, which you can find at T and XP Podcast. And if you like listening to us, then rating, reviewing, and following are really helpful in ensuring like-minded people find us. Join us next time for A Short Hike, where the real treasure is the friends you make along the way. Until then, stay cozy.
Like spending a rainy day in your favorite record store.